Hi, hi guys. I was in church today, and Pastor Frederick's sermon was "Move It to the Middle," and my spirit started jumping, and I was like, after church, I really gotta go online and say this. I often think we should. Pastor Frederick and I share the same brain, um, in several different ways, but one way it's just like ping ponging back and forth. Uh, when, as he was speaking about the middle and how Moses, um, uh, the burning bush was in the middle of Moses's life. It wasn't at the beginning, and it wasn't at the end. It was in the middle. Um, I began, and he says how um he said how when you think something is the end, it's just the middle. Well, and what some other preachers would say, where you put a period, God put a comma, and all that. So I would go on Elevation Church's YouTube channel and watch it. Or if you're available today, they're live all day. They have several different times that they're live. So they're live all day today on the Elevation Church YouTube channel, or you can catch it tomorrow or any other time after that. It's called "Move It to the Middle." And what I was thinking of when he was preaching, but because quite often when Pastor Stephen Furtick is preaching, I have two voices in my head. I have his coming through my speakers in my computer, and then I have God's. And and most times when God is speaking to me, when the pastor is preaching, it's for me, and I kind of keep it low key for myself. But this time, God told me to come on and share uh, what he shared with me while Pastor Stephen was preaching. So while Pastor Stephen was preaching, the Lord said to me, "They'll move it to the middle, but tell them I." They'll move their circumstance and understand that it's just the middle of it, but tells them that I will meet them there. The Lord wants me to tell you, like Mar- like Maren Morris said in her song. He said, "Children, why don't you just meet me in the middle? Quit losing your mind just a little, and go ahead and meet me in the middle." He said, some of you in that middle place, in that uncertain place, you will move it to the middle, but still worry about it while God's working it out. He said, he said, meet me in the middle. He said, meet me in the middle, and I will meet you there. And the middle is often uncertain, often just um, it's just a crazy place. Things could be up in the air. One day smooth, the other days not. And the Lord says to meet Him in the middle, and He will take you through uh, to the end. And He said, in life, you're either You're either at the beginning of something, in the middle of something, or at the end of something. Like, and because life is continuous, um, you are always either at the beginning of something, in the end, at in at the beginning of something, at the in the middle of something, or at the end of something. And because life is continuous, it never stops. So you go into one thing, and then you're in the middle of that, and then you get to the end of that, and then it starts all over again. And quite often, it it's simultaneously a bunch of things are going on. So you're in the middle of one thing and you're at the end of another thing, and it always seems like it's nonstop, just going through this. You get your finances straightened out, and then your husband or wife goes crazy. You get that straightened out, and then your children start acting a fool. You get that straightened out, and then the bills, you can't pay it again because what you thought was financial freedom, it just took money from what you could pay another bill, so it never stops. So wherever you are, the Lord will meet you there. And moving your situation um to the middle, it won't solve it. It maybe won't make it better, but it will change your perspective. It will be a perspective shift when you understand that, okay, this is not the end, it is just the middle. All it shifts is your perspective. Or this is the beginning of something, although it feels like the end. Or I'm in the middle of one thing in my life, and at the end of another thing, and at the beginning of another thing. It's just all kinds of perspective, and it keeps going and going and going. It seems like it never stops. And the Lord wants me to tell you that there's peace. There's peace. If you're in the middle of one thing, at the end of another, and at the beginning of something else, He gives peace for all the situations in your life. He gives peace for everything going on in your life, and He gives a word for everything going on in your life. Look for the word He has you stand on, whether it be directly in the Bible, in your personal study time, whether it be um, whether it be in a sermon, whether it be in a song. Look for the word for every circumstance. For every circumstance, there is a word that He will give you to stand on. And stand on that word because your life depends on it. I was going to say, like your life depends on it, but your life does depend on it. Stand on that word and know that God is God enough to achieve that word. He is God enough to handle your middle circumstance, to handle your end circumstance, and your beginning circumstance. Because in your life, things are cyclical, and you will be at the end of one thing, in the beginning of another, and in the middle of something else. And God is God of all that, and He will give you peace in all of that. So just meet Him there. Meet Him in the middle. Meet Him at the end. Meet Him at the beginning. And the greatest thing is you often don't know which circumstance is which. You don't even know what you're in the middle of, what you're at the end of, and what you're in the beginning of. It all just seems like a crazy mess. But God will iron out the crazy. Christ will iron out the crazy. Christ will iron out the crazy. And it all just seems like a crazy mess, but don't worry, Christ will iron out the crazy. Um, I've never used an iron because I can't iron, but I know that when you're ironing out the out the wrinkles and the crinkles and the spots that are just kind of crushed, it just takes a little heat. So not a little heat, it gets very hot, and you have to put the iron down. But that heat irons out the crazy, irons out the wrinkles and the crinkles and the crushings in your life. So maybe the heat that you're going through right now is sent to iron out the wrinkles and the crinkles and the crazy in your life. Christ is sent to iron out the crazy. Christ is sent to iron out the crazy. Just meet him in the middle, meet him at the end, meet him at the beginning. And the wonderful thing is, the most annoying thing is, the most frustrating thing is you don't know what circumstances which, but he does, and he will iron out the crazy, and you will see. Sometimes you won't see what it was for until it's way past, and then you'll go, oh, and then you'll gain perspective. But don't worry, Christ will iron out the crazy if you meet him in in the middle, at the beginning, and or at the end of your situation. And quite often you don't know what is which, but he does. And he'll meet you there wherever you are. And sometimes you can't move it. Sometimes it's in your head and you're losing your mind. But sometimes if most times when you can't gain that perspective, he'll move it to the middle for you. He'll show you that, look, this is just the middle. We'll go through this together. Sometimes it's just giving up and surrendering your life in whatever situation is to God. And it's hard, I know, because we like to know when we like to be in control, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. Thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Remember, Christ will iron out the crazy. Thanks, guys. Bye.